I knew it. I'm part of the sacred scriptures. What can I do to get out of it? Nothing? Oh, shit. Alright, I'll go. While your dear Araknie is traveling and risking his life, I'll talk to you about the prophecy. Yes, it's a video game. No, this channel isn't changing to being about mysticism. And we finally got another genuinely good point-and-click adventure game. No more being content with scraps. At least this time. We'll see what the future holds for us. And the story tries, it truly tries to reinvent the old warlock becomes all-powerful and wants to conquer the world. Because yes, that's the basic premise. But you gotta find 3 grains of a special type of sand that need to go into a specific hourglass to be able to defeat him. In a weird way, he can't be killed but can be banished. And it's all about being in this completely different world from ours, with its own set of rules and items you gotta use. For my own joy, they respect that very much from start to finish. One of the things this evil guy, named Kral apparently, needs to do is, for example, marry the princess of Volcano Island. The next is to keep the guardian of a temple imprisoned, and the last is to keep alive a weird dragon with the ability to change into a multitude of creatures. Both you and this stupid asshole of a mage have 3 objectives, on opposite sides of the fence, and 3 days to complete them. The evil man with wild hair has to wait for the eclipse to end for his plan to win. You have to do it before then. But fortunately, it's all story time. There's no real passage of it. It's all plot related. So take it easy, no problem here. The game doesn't do too much new aside from one thing, and it was really surprising. You get a copper sphere at the beginning of the game and get told that 3 special items can interface with it and change it into something else. So in reality you get 4 items in one. Oh yeah, also the ball form has its uses. And they made sure that they are all useful almost for the same amount. That's kind of incredible. Also they addressed one problem I always had with these types of games. We get to mess around in our inventory a whole lot. Mix and match for new things, you're going to do a lot of it here. Makes the whole having an inventory finally get some meaning. Also all puzzles have a hint regarding them, be it visual or written in the same room or a few prior. So that's certainly helpful. You just need to decipher it, but it surely can be done without using moon logic. That's always appreciated. A couple times you're gonna be presented with a choice. I'm showing you the more obvious one, but there's another more subtle one that's gonna happen. All choices lead somewhere else, so that's pretty interesting. I like how it makes you feel as if you're getting your own personal little version of the story even if there's no ending change. So not really worth playing once again, but at least you've got something your own way. Also they decided to make all characters via FMV's recordings. Now, I've got nothing against them, it's just that most people don't manage to make them good. You need them to be stupidly funny or seriously good and well acted. For FMVs, the middle ground is boring, and boring is worse than bad. But here they are overly animated and silly, so they certainly went over the top and for the best. Especially since they couldn't put any voice acting in them in 1992, so it certainly kept me entertained. The problems are 2. One, coming back from Companions of Zend. We don't get to go back in the game to explore every time we make certain progress. Even more strict compared to that game. You know, I don't like this type of stuff. And even if it's better, it's also much shorter than that, so it ends up finishing real soon. It ends suddenly too. I'm not spoiling anything, but you seriously don't get an ending. This is the final screen when you do your final action. You get 7 lines of text and then this. Not that the final portion feels rushed. You spend a few hours on Volcano Island, but yeah, it just ends. Graphically, I enjoy it plenty. They didn't try to integrate the FMVs in the backgrounds, so they let those beautiful scenes stand on their own. Meanwhile, the real people in costume got their own scenes or got relegated to a little window pop-up. That was the correct choice, especially since you can close any pop-up when you want by going into the upper left angle of it. You'll see a key icon when that happens. And that allows the scenery to stand on its own, and I got to enjoy how many of them were also animated to my surprise. and with an interesting choice of color almost every time. Honestly, we got some really creative ideas and locations, and considering most of them a context for being the way they are, that was also a huge help into solving the puzzles. A guy like me that likes to pay attention was rewarded. The soundtrack was fantastic in its entirety, helped by the fact that there was only 15 minutes of it. But in this case, the short length of the playthrough came to its help. One thing we can understand for sure. French adventure games have rarely satisfied our curiosity like in this case, but they never disappointed us regarding their tunes. I can honestly say that I loved all of it. Not having too many tunes in a video game is the correct decision if you're trying to go for quality like here. And not because you're just trying to do a rush job since you don't have the time or the pay doesn't cover the full commitment. Whatever the reason it might be. Here we got to enjoy all sorts of melodies, and it demonstrates that you don't need 2 hours of Red Book audio to create any variety. I honestly was pretty surprised by this title. So much so that I decided to give a 7.5 out of 10 to The Prophecy. What an important sounding name. I was all the more so disappointed when I was getting already my 3rd grain of sand and I was well under the 10 hours of gameplay. It was honestly a joy to play, and it couldn't enter my favorites either way because of the non-backtracking feature, but it could have been so much more. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see. Until next time, ciao ciao!